Sleeping Beauty. Once upon a time, the Aegean king Stephen and Queen Leah birthed their first child, a little girl. An old legend of evil princes engaged the belief that a firstborn son would bring prosperity and peace, but a firstborn daughter meant ruin and devastation for the kingdom. The king and queen feared for their people, so they left their baby girl on the doorstep of a home in the woods. The home belonged to fairies Flora and Fonda and Merryweather, who took in poor babe, but another took notice of the child, an older witch of the wood named Maleficent, who had lived alone for many years, had always wanted her to have someone who she could impart her knowledge of herbs and animals and share her love of nature. She was terrified of raising a child, however she was decided to watch and wait until the girl had grown to take her as an appearance. The king and queen had left the child with only name Aurora. As the girl grew in the home of the fairies, her curiosity know for whom she came grew as well. The fairies who she came knew as the ants would never tell her anything more than she was special. Because of this, she was strictly forbidden from roaming beyond the house and garden. There was no other child in the woods, and the little Aurora often played alone. She liked entertaining herself, but turning her against each other. Flora and Fonda liked the home spick and span, but Merryweather didn't mind a little mess. Aurora would make a little mess around the kitchen. Throughout she never cooked to spur a tiff. Why is there a dirty spoon on the counter? Fonda would start. Merryweather must have left it. Flora would assert, why do you always assume I'm the only who leave a mess? I'm just as tidy as the two of you. Merryweather would resort. Then Fonda and Flora would list the many chores Merryweather had put off, forgotten, leaving Merryweather huffing and puffing and quite a bit upset, chuckling at the silliness she often revealed in her putting powder to manipulate them. Aurora was now a teenager and she had learned the rhythms of the home. Every once in a while Fonda and Mary would head out of the town to gather essentials, but Flora couldn't get much further than the house without having a sort of a panic attack. She liked to stay inside the tidy kitchen again and again. One of these days Aurora will wait till her aunts have left for the day and then find her Aunt Flora and tell her she would be out in the garden digging up bugs. Aunt Flora hated bugs, and Aurora knew this little fib would allow her wander for most of the afternoon. If you must go, at least put on some gloves. Those bugs will make you sick. Flora wondered. Aurora slipped on some fitted gloves and headed out of the back of the house while Flora scrubbed away at the spotless floors, revealed to be on her own without her boring and simple aunts. Aurora climbed trees and rocks, swam in the river despite an quickening current, threw pebbles across the water. She had a little care for her own safety, and she enjoyed being reckless in nature. As she sat by the river and she noticed a family of egg nests on the opposite shore, she gathered up a few more round, flat rocks and skipped one right into the behind of the small area. Ha! She thought I quite good at this. She skipped a few more and jolted the bird from the lunging with a health call. Unbeknownst to Aurora, the witch of Maleficent watched from her high in a tree. Her violent desire concerned Maleficent, who worried who else Aurora liked to do. The thrill of her aim of the bird disturbance continued to amuse her until the rumble of her empty stomach called her home. Upon entering she found that Aunt Flora and Aunt Merryweather had returned. All three awaited Aurora at the table. Aunt Fonda invited Aurora to sit. "Tell me where you were," she said calmly. Aurora believed in the moment that her aunt would be understanding if she told her the truth, but she decided it would be more fun to lie. "I was playing in the garden when I was heard an animal whimpering just beyond the trees." She tried to muster up some fake tears and continued, "I went to go investigate and lost my way," sniffled Aurora. "Maybe if you would let me walk beyond the gardens, I wouldn't have gotten lost at all." The irritation in her voice was evident. "Not a chance," cried Flora. "She's shaking from the day's event." "Well, maybe we have been a little too restricted with her," sighed Fonda. Then Aunt Mary exclaimed, "Have you forgotten the king and the queen forbade her from entering the town? What if someone would recognize her?" The aunt gasped and looked at Aurora, who sat with an expression of irritation. "What do the king and queen have to do with me?" she asked. "Now you have done it," shouted Fonda. "Dear Aunt Fonda," says in her most comforting voice, "we have kept the truth from you all these years, But I suppose it's time for you to know. Your parents are King Stephen and Queen Leah. They were afraid that having a firstborn daughter would bring ruin to the kingdom, and so they left you with us to be raised. It's horrible legend, but they gave us credence. Paid no more. You're better off with us. Yes, Merryweather and Flora chimed. Oh, well, we love your royal cooed Merryweather. We are delighted to have you. Even your parents didn't want you, mused Flora. My parents, Aurora began. They abandoned me, well, responded Merryweather. They left you with the caretakers, but I don't want caretakers, said Aurora. You locked me in and refused me to let me go anywhere. Her aggression hesitated as she yelled, I hate you. I don't need anyone. I don't care for me. I'm better off on my own. And Aurora grabbed her coat and shoes and ran off into the woods. Weird tears spilled out of Aurora's puffy eyes now as she ran through the soft forest floor. She ran and ran until she tripped on an old stumble and fell flat on her bum. A boy appeared at the sound of her fall. Let me help you. Are you hurt? He asked her. Before she could reply, he called, You must be the most beautiful creature I've ever seen. I would do anything just to look at you all my days. Aurora did not find that flattering, and did not want anything to do with that boy. She decided to amuse herself. You would do anything for me, she began coolly. Anything. I'll die for such a face as yours, for such a beauty is worth more than my life. Would you give me an egg from that nest up there in that tree? The tree to which she pointed was nearly 12 feet tall. The nest was near the top. The boy looked with fear in his eyes, but with confidence. He claimed, I will get this egg for you. He started to climb. As he rose higher and higher, he called down to her, Each new branch is a test of my love for you. I will conquer them all. He seemed to have a manic energy and moved with a swift assurance. I hoped he would fall because she thought he wasn't nearly as strong as a belief and desired some pain and discomfort. Once he had reached the halfway, Aurora again found herself bored and decided to continue on her journey of running away. She cared and did not whether he succeed or fell to his dooms. Still in the shadows, Maleficent watched her. When Aurora left, she cast a spell on the boy to ensure that safe return to the guard, and she noticed that Aurora's character and empathy have humans and animals alike. She wondered if the girl held any sense of mortality at all. Aurora walked further at night, settling, still fuming at the thought that her parents had casted her aside. She was royalty. She could have been queen. How dare they can take that away from me, she thought. She saw a squirrel munching an acorn near, and suddenly realized how hungry she was. Hungry and tired, she came upon where she looked at a castle blocked by thorn bushes. She walked through the thorns as she scraped her skin, thinking only to find someone to give her food and a bed. She reaches the door of the castle and knocked. A Maleficent woman answered the door, wrapped in black and purple gowns with shape of horns on her head. It was Maleficent, the Witch of the Woods. The woman looked powerful, which intrigued Aurora greatly. She had always viewed her as silly and weak, and she was quite glad to get rid of them. She wondered if the woman could be one of her in her other ways. Aurora decided, acting pathetic with her best chance of being let inside, so she sleepily implored the woman, I am but a poor young girl who got lost in the woods. My family does not want me. They sent me away. I need somewhere to go. Would you be so kind of allow me a room in a castle for a while? Maleficent got what she wanted, a chance to have some company and appearance to teach, but she had seen the girl for who she really was. She knew the girl was lying. Even then her aunt would be worried sick about her whereabouts. She knew that if she trained her with the power she possessed, the girl would be unstoppable to bring ruin and devastation to the kingdom, just as an old legend warned. She decided to let her inside, but only she could curse her with an enchanted sleep, so the kingdom would be safe from her psychopathic nature. Maleficent welcomed her and said, Come, child, I will draw you a warm bath and will dress you wounds from those terrible thorns. Oh, after Aurora had fallen asleep, Maleficent entered her room to perform the curse. In a whisper, she said, At the stroke of the midnight you will stay awakened and rise to search for the spindle wheel in the top of the tallest tower. When you find it, you will prick your finger on the wheel and fall into eternal sleep. With that, she left Aurora. At the stroke of the midnight, Aurora awakened in a haze with only one thought, finding the spinning wheel on the top of the tallest tower. She climbed stairs after stairs, tower after tower, until finally she reached the top. Inside the tower room with a single spinning wheel with a sharp point. She walked up to it and pricked her finger on the spike, falling immediately into unconsciousness. Maleficent took her and to return to the bed where she hoped Aurora would stay for a while of eternity. Meanwhile, the fairy's aunt has been all night searching for Aurora, even to the anxious Flora, who clung to her sister's every step. The They found the boy, who identified himself as Prince Philip, at the neighborhood kingdom. He told them he had met Aurora and wanted to join her search, and I would die for her, he exclaimed, repeatedly obsessed with his own vow with Aurora. Yes, dear, you said that, said Flounder. They found Maleficent Castle in the wee hours of the morning, and together the fairies carved a path through the thorns using a sweeping spell. Amazing, said the boy, who had not yet witnessed magic. They unlocked the door with a simple wind spell, only to open it and find Maleficent awaiting them. You have come for Aurora, then? She asked them. Tell us where she is, you wicked witch, shouted Flora. We know you have her, said Fauna. Are you absolutely sure you want her back? And I've seen her cruelty to animals, even to you all. She would not like me to be good in this world, Maleficent stated. How dare you talk about Aurora? If she was evil as you, shouted Merryweather. We raised her to be good and mindful, and she never done us any harm, said Flora in the entrance. How could that beautiful creature be anything but kind and good? Prince Philip gushed. Maleficent was reluctant, but she knew that they would not give up. I will remove the curse of her sleep, but know that Aurora may be much more than the girl you want her to be, the wise Maleficent forewarned. They gathered around the bed, and Maleficent performed the spell of the awakened from her slumber to return to those who love from you knows who the bounds, but should not any harm come to them or to this kingdom. May you return to the state, never to awaken again. And the sleeping beauty awoken, and her eyes shone with desire.